I'm Ryan Ulyate, and I'm a music producer and engineer. And I've been doing it forever, it seems. And I'm a big fan of high-res audio. You are at my studio, called Ryan's Place, imaginatively named. It's a little shed in Topanga Canyon. The Tom Petty box set was a really important project, I think, for everybody. Because when we lost Tom, everybody was just in shock. A few months later, his daughter Adria and his wife Dana decided that they really wanted to do something to honor him. So the idea was, let's put something out that kind of is a retrospective. And they wanted to feature some of the more obscure tracks, some of the tracks that kind of got overlooked, to give a different perspective on the guy. And Mike Campbell and Ben Mont and I got brought into the process, and we started looking at all the material. And we quickly realized that besides the deep tracks that could be on this, there was a lot of unreleased material. And then there was another category was things that could get remixed to give people a different perspective on some of these songs that they've known and loved for years. And it was a really fun project. It was very cathartic, I think, for all of us, because I lost my friend and I was grieving, and somehow having him coming out of the speakers for a good 4 or 5 months was reassuring to me, because that's kind of what he always was coming out of the speakers here. So to have that kind of sense of normalcy, and it just, I think it helped me get over it. And it also, I think when you lose someone, you're so shocked and horrified at first, and then with time you come to accept it, and then you just start thinking about the little things about that person that makes you smile. And I think we're at the point now where we're smiling a little bit more when we think about Tom. Well, Tom has an archive of stuff. He's got a lot of tapes, a lot of outtakes and things, and I'd been diving into that archive for quite a while. I mean, the first time we really got into it was when we were doing the Running Down a Dream film in 2006. It was a documentary that Peter Bogdanovich directed, and they needed a lot of source material, source music. And so I started going through anything that said Jam on it. It says what's listed on the box, but a lot of times you don't know what it is until you pull the box out, you bake the tape, because you have to bake a tape, and you transfer it. And then all of a sudden it says something on the box, but there's something that's there that wasn't written on the box. And so the only way to find out is to get in there and listen to stuff. And so I had been doing that really since around 2006. Including for the project called the Live Anthology, which we did in 2008 and 2009. So I'd had some familiarity with what's in there, and I've been kind of getting cleaning up the database, so to speak. Every time we transferred something, I'd go back and go, oh, well, in fact, this is that, and this is this. And so it's been an ongoing project before Tom passed. When he passed, we started going back and looking at some more stuff. And once again, it's just that process of just going there, getting a bazillion boxes of tape showing up, and then spending a lot of time just listening to them and picking some things. My high-res soapbox position, from being a guy who sits in rooms with musicians and makes music, is people should just hear the same thing that we hear when we're in the control room and we're mixing things and we're listening to music. And I think that wire between artist's brain and your brain should be as short and direct as possible. And I think that high-res is that. It's that conduit. It gets exactly what that person, that artist that you like, is thinking and wanting to create and wanting to express, and it gets it straight to you with the minimum of fuss and the minimum of distortion, and it's a more pure expression of artistic intent. So that's my main thing about it. And honestly, I've been doing this for, forever. I've been doing it for about 40 years or so, ever since I was -10. And it has always been a compromise between what we heard and what the eventual consumers heard. Back when you were doing vinyl, you would record something live, you'd record it onto multi-track, it would sound wonderful, And then you'd mix it down to sound a little bit different, but it still would sound wonderful. And then you'd go and you'd master it, and then it'd come out on vinyl, and it would sound different. Nobody, you know, I always wanted people to just come into the control room and I just hit play on the tape machine. That's what I wanted people to hear. And with high-res, we finally have that exact thing. You can hear what we're hearing. And to me, that is just far superior than anything else that's out there. One word that comes to mind is more immersive. You can see into it a little bit more. And one thing that I do that I treat high-res audio differently, so I actually master it differently than the CD audio. The source that we record at is 24-bit, 96K. That's what we do. Then when we make a CD, we turn that into a 16-bit 44.1K. So it has to go through an analog board. And then also, we have to make it louder. So we do this thing called brick wall compression, which takes, like, when you hit a drum, if you look at the waveform, it goes boom, boom. Well, that's not loud enough. You need to make the whole thing smaller, and then it takes up all the space, and all of a sudden it makes it sound louder. But it also takes some of the impact out of the music. So for the CD, we do a little bit of that because people are just used to hearing things at a certain level coming out of a CD or their phone. For the high-res, we don't do that. We master it at a lower level, but it means that those things, like that drum and all that stuff, it has more space to breathe. And so it gives it more space to breathe. And so the high-res version is generally exactly what we're listening to in the control room before we have to make it a little bit louder for the CD version. I think high-res for streaming is a fantastic idea. And I've heard some of these new technologies, and they're really pretty good. And in terms of what is out there right now and what I've experienced from streaming up till recently has always been a real disappointment. It kind of sounds like an MP3, and the cymbals kind of go and make these funny noises. But I think right now we're on the verge of this revolution where we can really get high quality music through streaming, and I'm really excited by it because it's one more great way to get the music to the people.